Hi guys, in this video I want to share with you a very powerful book, some very powerful research that was done by a man by the name of Weston A Price. Now Dr. Price was a dentist in the early 1900s, and what he did is he found the first half of his career he was working on minor cavities and people had just small misalignments in their teeth. But what he found is that towards the second half of his career he started to really see massive abscess, massive infections, massive cavities, and massive misalignments of the people's teeth, of his patient's teeth. And what he did is he actually got a grant from the United States government that allowed him to travel all around the world to study different remote tribes all around the world. And the places that he picked around the world were places that were close to ports. So they were able to have ships that were able to come in. And so in these ports, the ships would bring in all types of processed foods. In the early 1900s, in the early mid-1900s is really when the processed food industry really started to ramp up. And so he was able to find places where there would be isolated tribes, people that have been eating real food, the food that their tribe has been eating for thousands of years. They've been eating that, and they had perfect health, beautiful teeth structure, everything was excellent. I'm going to show you the pictures of that in a second. And then he's also able to find what happened in one generation of eating processed foods. Because like I said, the processed foods was brought in by these big ships at these ports, and people were able to have access to those deficient and toxic foods. And so there's several pictures. What he did is he took pictures. He always observed their dental arch, dental structure, the health of their teeth. He also took notes and observed their health status. So he looked at their disease rates, looked at heart disease, diabetes, several different things. He also looked at infectious diseases, which I'll show you some pictures of that, of tuberculosis. Tuberculosis in a lot of these tribes that he's looking at was one of the main infectious diseases that was killing people at that time. So let me show you what was happening with that. So first of all, let's talk about the book. This is called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Again, it's by Weston A Price. This is an excellent book because it goes through in detail all of these different tribes all around the world, all of these different tribes, and it looks at what type of food they ate, what type of lifestyle they had, and also looks at their dental structure. And he took pictures of that. So here, let's look at some of the pictures. So if you look at this, you can see that people had perfectly straight teeth. Every single one of them. And again, I'll show you more and more, but every tribe you went to, they all had perfectly straight teeth if they were eating the food that they've been eating, the real food that they've been eating for thousands of years, then they had perfect arches. Now, as an orthodontist, if you go to get your teeth, get braces or get a retainer, this is the goal of the orthodontist, is to help us have straight teeth, right? Another thing that he noted with this is every single person that has been eating real food that they've always been eating, they didn't have a problem where there's crowding of their teeth. You know, a lot of times nowadays, us moderns, us domesticated humans, we don't have enough room in our maxilla and in our mandible where our wisdom teeth cause too much crowding that causes all our teeth to become crooked. And so if you notice, they never had a problem with having enough room for the wisdom teeth to come in. They had plenty of room. And again, every tribe we looked at, again, you can see the perfect arch. Perfect arch. And look at this one here. This is I don't know if it's a father-son, but what we can tell, I don't know the age of this people, but this gentleman right here, he has a gray beard, gray hair. So he's getting up there in age, but if you look at their physical physique, I mean, he's ripped. This guy is strong, he's healthy, and it's not that he went and did, you know, CrossFit every day or he lifted weights every single day. He has that physique because he was living life the way humans have been living for thousands of years, and he's being physically active on a daily basis. He wasn't sitting on the couch watching TV all day, every day, but he was moving. He was moving on a daily basis, and that produced that. Now, a lot of times people will say that the reason why we have certain illnesses is because it's genetics. And genetics plays a part in every part of our physiology, but your genes do not cause illnesses or diseases to happen. The main cause of illnesses or diseases is because of the lifestyle choices that we have. If we have poor lifestyle choices, if we give our body poor raw materials for our body to repair and build itself, you're gonna build a weak, faulty, unhealthy body, and you're going to have disease develop in your body. But when they continue to give themselves food that they've been having, real food that grows on the land, that roams the land, or that they can domesticate and have raw dairy or fermented or sprouted or soaked grains, that's the way they actually prepare it. We'll go into those details later in another video, how these people actually had how they prepared their food. There's certain things that's very important to notice and take note of and start to implement in our life is how they prepared their food, because it makes the food healthier for us. But if you notice, they all had great health. And this is a tribe in Africa here. If you notice, their teeth look a little different. What this tribe actually did is they actually would go and carve out their teeth to make them come down to a point. And still, even with that, out of 100 teeth, they might have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 minor cavities. Minor cavities. Didn't cause any problems, didn't cause any pain, didn't cause any infection. But the other thing that was interesting with all of these tribes that we've just seen, all these population groups, they didn't have any dental hygiene. They didn't brush or floss their teeth. Now, growing up, my dad's a dentist. He actually is the one who gave me this book when I was in 7th grade. But he's a dentist, he's a natural dentist, teaches his patients how to use supplements to help heal their body and to strengthen their body. But, you know, growing up, we were taught that you need to brush and floss to prevent cavities. And again, I'm not going to ever tell you not to brush and floss. But these people never would brush and floss. They just didn't have the dental hygiene that we think of today. I believe it's good to have that good dental hygiene, so you should continue that. But the most important thing is you should start eating real food. If you start eating real food, most of those problems can be prevented. Most of them can be prevented. So here's some examples. In one generation of eating processed foods from the people that brought them in from the ships, here's what happened. Look at the crooked teeth. You can see that there's a lot of crowding in the teeth. Let me go back to this one here. Notice with every tribe, you can look at their nostril, their nasal passage. Their nasal passage is nice and wide. It was very easy for them to breathe. Their zygomatic arch, their maxilla, and their mandible, all those bones were nice and full. They had thick faces. You can see that. You can see that on all those other tribes that we looked at. But in one generation, they started noticing that their nasal passages started to get smaller. The zygomatic arch here started to cave in. Their maxilla and their mandible started to get smaller because they started eating food that was deficient in certain minerals that the body needs. They're eating food that was deficient in certain nutrients that the body needs to build a strong frame, to build a healthy skeletal system, to build a healthy structure in the body. So when they started eating these foods, their whole skeletal structure started to shrink. Women, their pelvic floor, the pelvic basin, the pelvic floor actually got smaller. So when you think about birth got harder when they started eating processed foods. A lot of these tribes, the women would go out into the woods by themselves, have a baby, then come back and bring their child out to the world. But when their pelvic floor got smaller, the pelvis got smaller, childbirth actually became more and more difficult. Let's go to the next one here. Here again, you can see just the rotten teeth. Because again, if you look at these people, they didn't have, all these people here, they didn't have dental hygiene. They didn't understand what dental hygiene was because they didn't need it for thousands of years. Now all of a sudden they start eating these deficient and toxic foods. They need it, but they don't understand it. So they didn't have a dentist, they didn't have a toothbrush, they didn't have floss or toothpaste, they didn't have any of those things. Go to the next one. And you'll see that, again, just rotten teeth all over. This is Eskimo tribe. The holes, the teeth are just rotting out of their head. And again, it wasn't because of genetics, because if you go one generation before that, again, this happened in one generation before that, they say, no, we've never had a problem with cavities. We've never had a problem with heart disease or diabetes. In fact, it wasn't none of those things happened until we started eating and adopting this type of lifestyle. So it's that toxic and deficient lifestyle that caused the expression of this illness or disease. Again, notice this is a Caucasian child here. Notice how his cheekbones, his zygomatic arch, his maxilla, and his mandible, everything's caving in. The nose is getting very narrow. So I mentioned tuberculosis. I mentioned some infectious diseases. What they were actually able to do is they were able to look at the tribes and the people that were able to continue to live the same lifestyle they've been living for thousands of years. They were actually exposed to the same viruses and the same bacteria that these people were exposed to. but they didn't have the illness or disease. They didn't express full-blown tuberculosis. They didn't express full-blown malaria or full-blown measles or mumps or rubella. They didn't express those things full-blown until they started having a diet that was deficient and toxic, and then they started to have it. This is an example of tuberculosis. A lot of the people that he observed, the people that are eating the processed foods, start dying of tuberculosis. In the book, it also shows a couple of examples of they used to do experiments on animals, which they wouldn't be allowed to do as much anymore. Now they do it on rats most of the time. But one example, this is with sheep. They had another one with cows. One example is they had pregnant mother cows that were given a diet that was deficient in vitamin A. So it was a pregnant mother cow given a diet that was deficient in vitamin A, and all the babies that were born without eyes. Vitamin A is very important for your eyes. It's very important for eyesight and vision, but they were actually born without eyes. So when we see this, and there's some other studies I'll share with you later, is you can actually reverse a lot of illnesses. Just like they went from being very healthy to being diseased and rotten teeth in one generation, you can also start to flip that and reverse those effects and reverse a lot of diseases by adopting more of a traditional diet, a traditional lifestyle where we move and expend energy the way our ancestors did, where we have that social connection and cooperation the way our ancestors did, and also where we start to eat real food the way our ancestors did. And we prepare our food the way, a traditional way of preparing it, and I'll share those with you in another video. But again, I hope this helps you understand. This is a video I produced, I put together for my son when he was 3 years old. It helped him understand. He didn't really understand why he couldn't have certain foods, but it helped him really understand. He started making better choices. So this is something you can actually show your kids to help them understand and make better choices. So I hope this helps you understand. And now I would totally recommend going to check out the Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston Price. And I'd also recommend that you start to get connected. There's chapters all around the world for Weston A Price Foundation, which is based off of his work, Dr. Price's work. And so there's nutritional chapters or groups all around the world that will teach you more and more about these traditional preparations, a way of preparing your food, a way of eating the food in more of a healthy way. So I hope this helps, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video where we'll talk more about how your choices, the food we eat, is going to change the genetic expression of your body, improve your health, improve your well-being, help you have a better quality of life. So we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.